Oh, hello. Happy Tuesday. Here we are again. Again. It's game dev time. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Got the last few sips of my coffee here. Crucial. All right. Let's see where we're at. Happy Tuesday, the Monday of my streams. Yes. Stream Monday. It's kind of nice because it means I have a work day where I don't stream and a streaming day where I don't work. It's kind of nice. It creates a little more of a, a bit of a gradient in my week. Monday's also my one day where I go to the office. So it helps. How are you doing, Rhiannon Journey? All right. Let's see. I did a couple of things over the weekend because, like I said, I had a little meetup. I already pushed those changes, didn't I? I had a meetup on Saturday, a Godot meetup. It ended up being very low key. I did change some things. I don't see the difference here. Oh, I do see the difference here. Okay. I only made a couple of changes. One of them is kind of fancy. I can show it off here. Schedule changes are probably nice to break things up. Yeah. Yeah, it helps for sure. And it's nice having a Saturday to stream. It's a different energy, you know? All right. So if we do our thing, we do our usual thing, our little housing block thing here. Oh, spoilers. Oh, wait. So does that not go away? Oh, that's not good. Well, we'll fix that. Probably. Well, let's leave the rest of that then. You're doing pretty good. You had to deal with the DMV stuff the end of last week. You're glad that's over. The DMV is rough. I actually just ordered my replacement ID. And it was surprisingly easy because I already have the real ID. I got it in like 2019 or something like that. But it means it's expired. So yeah, I've had to replace mine. All right, so we have like... So we already had this, which is like a little ghost, a little cursor ghost, a little semi-transparent thing that follows the cursor around as we go around doing our things. You know, and it's supposed to kind of match whatever is in the block. I just spotted an issue with it because I made a change because I essentially wanted, because right now, like obviously if I do something, I can see the change. If I right click and I start placing things, I can obviously see that. Oh, it looks like I have a few more modifications. But what I wanted to do is I wanted you to be able to see what happens when you're just doing this normally. So like if I've got a floor tool, but there's already floor here, then you can at least see that you're doing something. I do like the overlapping at the edges, the nice little soft grid line thing. Really like that. There's obviously some edge cases I didn't account for. Hey, Diginanigans, how are you doing? Hey, what up, Nix? Oh, nice. You're at a barbecue. Nice. You're having to send your messages via highlight. That's the only way you can get it to work on the mobile app. That is funny. Yeah, enjoy the barbecue. Thanks for stopping by. So I had a couple of tricks to avoid overdrawing. Like drawing the highlight over a block if the block is like novel. So like we don't draw over that because the block is already there, but as soon as the block's in place, now we can highlight over it. So if I do this again, they get highlight, which that's bad. We need to do some cleanup on that. So that's what happens when you try to overdraw semi-transparent things. Thanks, Nix. We will. Well, I don't know if we'll have a productive stream, but we'll do our best. Thank you. Have a good time. So here's the other problem. If I erase, it doesn't actually draw under there for that reason. Maybe this was not a good idea. I mean, I kind of like being able to see when you're doing something, even if that thing that you're doing has no effect. Like, I like that, but these edge cases are going to be kind of annoying. This one let's deal with first, this like massive overdraw here. That should be relatively easy to fix. Shenanigans, you're not doing bad. Nothing eventful, you're focused on wrapping up a project this week. Nice, nice. I was supposed to be wrapping up a project this week, but our main vendor has made my life twice as difficult as it was before, so probably gonna be moving some things around. But we're not worried about that right now. We're worried about game dev. All right, so where do we have a system that is at risk of doing that and it doesn't occur? I'm thinking the select system, right? Because if we have, so if we just do something simple here. So that causes that problem, but if I do this, we don't get such a thing. And that is because, well, hold on, there's something weird there, but what is that little dot sticking out? I can't find this in the tileset atlas, but it's there. There's just this like slightest little offset corner, this corner lit up corner thing. It's going to drive me insane. I understand why it doesn't happen when we do the select, and it's because the select only draws over existing tiles. We don't do that when we do the right click. Fascinating. Oh, it actually also interacts super weirdly with the select. It's good to know. You can see it's overdrawing, though. You can see it's like drawing all these things in a line, even though they're not actually rendering. How do I want to do that? Well, firstly, I want to find this stupid little weird atlas problem. It's tile atlas. Rhiannon Journey, you saw someone recommend Hard Space Shipbreaker. It was already in your game library a bit. You played it a bit over the weekend. It's lots of fun. It is lots of fun. I'm like quite a bit into the ways into that game. I've picked it up and put it down a few times, but yeah, I really like that game. Hard Space Shipbreaker is a lot of fun. They deliver the story very nicely in a very passive kind of way. And the gameplay is so funny, and the gameplay is great. The fully 3D motion where like your orientation is arbitrary, I think is really hard. I think it's really hard to make that intuitive, but it's quite fun if you're used to it, or if you get used to it. But yeah, I really enjoyed that game. I need to finish it. I haven't finished it. I think it's no longer on Game Pass, which is my problem because I played it on Game Pass. But I could honestly start that game over and I'd probably be pretty happy. I love playing with the gravity tethers that they give you eventually. So fun. You really get a sense for that kind of work. Obviously not that actual kind of work, but they do a really good job giving you like tools and trade that you're supposed to apply here. The capitalism themes in the story is great. The late stage capitalist nightmare scape that they demonstrate is very good. And I also love space blues, that like Firefly style, like space folk, like Starcraft Terrans and stuff. Love that stuff. I love that vibe. The literal space cowboy. You got used to the motion pretty quick because you love Subnautica. That makes sense. But in Subnautica, you're always facing up, right? So it's not that disorienting. In Hardspace Shipbreaker, your up could be in any direction. And that's what really messes you up, is when you start like rotating sideways and you're like, oh, I'm like mostly upside down now. Your frame of reference can get messed up so quickly. I've gotten so turned around in a ship where I come out and I'm like, which way's down? I don't remember which way is down. But it's really cool. It's really cool. I don't remember. I don't think I played that game with a controller the first time, but I think if I played it again, I would try to play it with a controller. I think that would feel a little better. All right, so I'm looking. So there's something weird about our tile atlas here. Watch it be like referring to a weird file. So it's not in the whole tile set. It's in this tile set. Yeah, I don't see a problem with this, is the problem. It's drawing it in a way that there's like, that something's wrong, and then I go into the actual file and I look for it and I can't find a problem. It's super, super weird. Maybe it's here. No, these are the same files. What could possibly be causing this? Oh, you know what it is? It's probably overflowing from here. I would have thought. Huh. No, I don't know. I can't for the life of me figure out why we're drawing stuff like this. I guess that's just a problem I'm gonna have to live with for a minute. Or maybe I can like play it in here and actually figure out, go into the remote tree and figure out what's happening. Probably not. That seems unlikely. Hey, where am I? We're doing okay. It's the start of our dev week here. So I don't understand what's causing this here. So if I draw this, and then I select all of it, and I go in here. Oh, now it's not doing it. Oh, there, now it's doing it. Yeah, there's an extra few pixels here that I cannot account for. Rhiannon, you remember reading Ender's Game for the first time and loving it when he realizes in 0G any direction is down and it revolutionizes the war games. I make that joke a lot. I make the enemy's gate is down joke all the time. It's a good one. Yeah, the twin realization of like you need a common language to talk about a problem. And then that combined with the practice of putting your knees forward like that, facing your legs towards the enemy. Because who gives a shit if your legs get stunned or whatever, right? Yeah, that was a good, we don't like that author anymore. He's on the list of, bad people that we don't like, but that was a great young adult fiction novel for any kids interested in xenocide. Xenocide and the problems of trusting authority blindly. All right, so I swear there's a problem here. One of these slides is like overextended and it's driving me insane. It's like 1 pixel too far in a specific frame. And I, for the life of me, cannot find it. So I'm going to give up in a second and we'll actually try to do something productive. But it is driving me truly bonkers. Because I cannot find it. I should probably go to the original drawing, huh? I'm like worried that we're referencing a different file than the one that I'm updating and continuing to use. It's like the only thing I can think of that would explain this discrepancy. You never read the rest of the series? Oh, me either. I'm not even really aware it was a series. Can I draw a different colored pixel in the tile set to see which one it's happening to? I could. That would be the smart thing to do for sure. The thing is, though, I'm not convinced about which part is causing it. And it also, it might not actually be that I'm just hard colored a pixel here. It could be the cumulative effects of some of these more semi-transparent pixels. And it's just tricking me into thinking that it's drawn wrong. And it's actually just the cumulative effect of a bunch of them getting laid over each other. That's also possible. I'm doing this because I'm like, this is never news, but I'm always tired and unfocused. So I try to pick something fairly mindless and easy to start with. Someone asked me just yesterday, they were like, do you prepare for your streams or anything? Like, do you do like work to get ready? And I'm like, no, I literally just hit go live and then just pick something, whatever the most obvious thing to me that moment is. And it's like, that is not a great workflow, but it's all right. All right. Where am I? You're saying divers that go into underwater caves or dark areas, they become disoriented of directions. Yeah, they start to panic. Oh, man. Yeah. No, that seems really... That's like the joke of, like, the pilot who flies into a cloud and, like, comes out the other side upside down. It's really easy to get severely disoriented. All right, so this doesn't happen. I can confirm that it doesn't happen when we are just doing this on just a floor piece. This weird problem. It is not happening. Everything looks really nice and even. But if we place some wall blocks, we don't have it. But now, so we still don't have it on the top of the bulk. What we do have, it shows up in here. It shows up in here. It's really hard to spot. You can see it obviously when I do this, because you can see these extra white pixels that come out. It only happens when it's being drawn on top of a middle hull. Now, why could that be? What if I then add some blocks here and do the same thing again? Oh, notice how it's not doing it on the edge here. It's only doing it under the middle hull. That's curious. Under the dark gray. It's doing it on the top and the bottom parts. Very weird. Very, very weird. Okay, it doesn't do
Maximum
it.
warp.
Maximum warp symbol. How's it going? What are you up to? Trying to spot this really subtle problem. You can see the little individual white dots. They should not be here. And as far as I can tell looking at the atlas, they aren't here. But obviously, you know, you load the game up here, and under this very particular circumstance, they're here. So I'm just trying to figure them out. Okay, they're not rendering on this right side. So they're not rendering under this circumstance. So the bulk seems fine. So it really is a problem with the something with the floor piece. I should probably go double check where we're getting that from. On my list of things to do is to come up with like a unified auto tiling method, because right now you'll notice the outlining rules for like a regular block, like the regular gray blocks here, is different than the outlining rules for the selection grid. I want them to be the same. I would really like them all to be the same. So there's just one auto tiling rule. Because I don't have to keep track of, I don't want to maintain these differently so much. Okay, so there's definitely a problem with the floor piece. All right, so it's definitely in here. Get the eyedropper tool out and try to spot a difference between some of these. But yeah, my method is really to just pick something that's bugging me and I just start working on that. And that's how we end up going on bug hunts for errant pixels. All right. I was convinced that there was like some kind of pixel problem here, but I don't think that's true. Let's go check the inputs for, it's got to be this one, select XZ. This has to be the culprit. And so what file is this? Sprite, hull default select.png. That is the correct file. Pretty sure. Alright, environment, tile, hull, sprite, hull default. Alright, so environment, tile, hull, sprite. Oh, wait. No, default select. Yeah, that's it. That should be it. I need to clean up these files a lot. Got like duplicates and things. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what could be causing this. Could be a tile is being displayed at the wrong position, but that seems unlikely. Your position is normal. You both inherit from the same, so there's no way you're wrong. All right, yeah. As far as I can tell, this problem can't happen. And yet, here we are. There it is.
Most illogical.
Yeah, truly. There it is, plain as day. I mean, the pixels don't lie. You know, this dot does correspond with the position of... No, it doesn't. Thought it did for a second. The fact that it only shows up when we're drawing over a mid... You know, that's probably an indication that the problem is there. Something to do with the middle tile. Song is nice. It's very Elder Scrolls. Yeah, I guess we're gonna need to follow Rhiannon Journey's suggestion of trying to like ink the spot here, just to try to find where the problem is occurring. I'm just going to hit these two. For now. Okay, so I've blackened. It's not technically black. Technically, it's a color. Hard to tell what color, though, from here. And so if I do this, what do we got? Interesting. So it's not the pixel I expected. It's down and to the right. Incredible. Hi. How's it going? Welcome in. Yes, you caught us doing some debugging. We've got this graphical artifact that we can't explain. I really do think it might be these semi-transparent things like adding up in some weird way, but it's weird that it only affects that. It only happens in certain combinations. Anyway, we're working on Digital Iliad. It's kind of like an isometric 3D version of FTL Faster Than Light, little space management game. It's all faux 3D, so it's all using isometric style tile maps. And so, yeah, the thing you've been watching is our little tool set that we have for building these things. So we can build out these layers. It's pretty simple at this point. It's really just gray boxed everything. Not a lot of shape control or anything like that, but you can make rooms. You can make partitions in the rooms. The rooms are getting flood filled, so you can tell whether a room is like sealed or not. You've got this cutaway system so that you can see where you want to see when the rooms start to get more complicated. So yeah, just kind of tools work we've been doing for a long time here. It's really cool. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. How are you doing? Yeah, as far as I can tell, this only happens under the very specific circumstances of trying to make a selection in a sealed environment like this. Yeah, it's affecting the outer lines here, but only Only at the edges of the selection. Like if I move the edge into the selection like this, you don't notice it. You don't see the malformed lines. You only see them at the very edge, and you can see it because of the little dots, the little regularly spaced dots. It's also happening on the outer edge here. Maybe the problem has to do with the middle hull. So let's take a look at that. Hey, Jacob. Yeah, I'm doing okay. Thank you. Thank you, Incredible. We're usual. We're tired. We're unfocused. We're hunting bugs that we can't find. Silarsi. Hello. Thank you. Welcome in. Hope you're having a nice Tuesday here. All right, so, excuse me. We'll take another look at the middle hull tiles, I guess. I can't really think of what else to do. Is there a possibility that these are causing a problem somehow? Not really. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for hopping over to Twitch and hitting me with the follow. C. Larcy. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we're gonna probably put a pin in this and move on because I don't know. I see no visual indicator as to why this might be happening. Silas for short. Awesome, thank you. Pronouncing names. Pronouncing user handles is hard. The double I is especially tricky. So I appreciate it. Appreciate explaining. All right, so let's go back here. Is it an interaction between the two tile sets that could possibly be causing this? So like middle floor top. Yeah, I don't know. Guess we could review the code very briefly. We don't do anything differently. So dex Z, source tile ID is 1. Select. Yeah, we really don't do anything differently. I like how clean the outlining rules are for the selection grid. I don't relish the idea of making them more complicated like the ones up here with all their crazy conditionals. But I kind of need them to if they're going to be consistent, which is kind of why I want just one auto tile rule set that kind of applies to everything. I could design one that includes outlines and one that doesn't include outlines. Worst case scenario. Sorry for the newbie question. Looks like Godot is using C# as the programming language. No, I'm using C# as the programming language. It's an option. Godot has a built-in programming language, scripting language called GDScript. It's pretty reasonable. It looks like Python. Where's a good example? I don't know if this is a good example, but this is kind of the way their own GDScript files look. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. We're writing the simulation layer of our game in C# because Godot has this really smart node tree structure where every node is a scene, and every scene is a node. So you can create these very complex tree-like structures for the game. But I wanted to write a kind of complex simulation and I didn't want the elements of the simulation to be nodes in the tree structure, stuff like that. So I ended up kind of breaking that section out. So we still use Godot and GDScript for all the rendering and the UI and all that stuff, but there is a simulation layer that we're building in C# that's kind of backed by our own little entity component system. Jacob, for the longest time, before you actually looked, you assumed Godot used Golang. You know, that's if it was Godot Lang, I would have agreed. But that's funny. That's funny. Godot uses Golang. That would have been funny. All right. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what could be causing this graphical issue. And I should probably move on, since we're about almost an hour into the stream. And all I've been doing was looking at graphical abnormalities. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do today? Cursor block outline, almost done. House selection overlay is almost done. These are pretty much done. We did spot a couple of issues, but because I want to unify the auto tiling method so that the tile blocks, the tile selection, and the cursor block, the hover, I don't know, we call it a couple different things, like the hover, it kind of just lets you know where your cursor is, but you haven't selected anything yet. I kind of don't want to finish this the way it's currently written. I kind of want to rewrite a single auto tiling technique that can figure out the edges of homogeneous surfaces. And use that for all of them, just so, because right now I have a bespoke solution for every overlay I want to do. Every overlay has its own auto tiling rules and its own procedure. And I don't want that, because I would like to be able to add more and more kinds of overlays. Like, it would be cool if you could have a power distribution overlay, or like a pathfinding overlay, or like a whatever. Like, you could toggle all these overlays. Oxygen overlays. Like, I would love to be able to draw all of these things. And I want to be able to draw them off of a single process. Symbol. Sometimes that do be the thing we end up doing, just looking at little details. I know. I was talking about earlier how, like, I don't usually have a plan when I start streaming. I usually just notice something that bothers me and we start working on it. And sometimes that's really great, and sometimes it's like really frustrating. So I kind of want to do that. I kind of want to rewrite a single. So we could say like add card. We could say like unified auto tiling protocol. I don't know. Process. Will that fit into a single card? On a single auto tiling process. Or maybe it would be, maybe it would have to be like parametric. So like, what would be involved? Let's actually think about what would be involved in having a single auto tiling process before we end up concretely thinking about it. Silas, do I have any enterprise experience in development, or did you jump straight into game development? No, I'm not really I'm not like a software developer. I've been a game dev hobbyist for a long time. I was a game dev hobbyist in Unity, using the Unity engine primarily for like about 15 years. The last 3 or 4 of which was like just using their data-oriented tech stack and all their entity component system stuff. which is really interesting. And then I switched over to Godot for reasons, but I feel like a lot of that sensibility has come with me, which is why I've wasted my time making an entity component system. We got a raid. Red alert. Black Void Titan has appeared on scanners here. Hello. Welcome, Black Void Titan and your Titanians. I don't know what you call your viewers. Raid, Half Moon. Thank you for the raid. All haunts to battle stations. Exactly. Symbol haunts. All haunts. Get to battle stations. How's it going? How was your stream? Do any good game jams recently or coming up soon? We're kind of getting into jam season again. I guess the same question for you, Symbol. The Titan army. All right, we're chilling here. This is the beginning of my streaming week. We stream Tuesdays to Saturdays typically. We're working on Digital Iliad, which is like an isometric 3D take on FTL, like a take on Starship Management style games. I think of it as kind of a blend between FTL with maybe a little bit of like RimWorld, something a little more slower paced, a little more strategic. So we have that we're working on. The Mighty Titans. Stream was good. You made some nice progress. You did a lot of playtesting today. Ooh, playtesting is nice. No game survives contact with the testers. Oh, hey, Yaria. Why you can't hear? I don't know. Oh, the gang's all here. Yeah, restarting Twitch is good. Titan, you're trying to focus on the main project, but you might be tempted by a Halloween jam. Nice. Yeah, I think I'll be doing Down to Jam. I couldn't do the inaugural Down to Jam because it was during GDC, but I have no excuse this time. And I crashed out of my last Ludum Dare pretty hard. I like ran out of time. It was really brutal. So I want a nice jam to like get back into things before like Ludum Dare comes around again. So yeah, I'm also trying to focus on the main project, but it's hard. So thanks for the raid. If you gotta run, I understand. If you're gonna hang out, you can watch me struggle here. We're thinking about, well, we spent the first hour trying to find this graphical glitch that I like just cannot find. Where if we do our usual thing, everything seems to be pretty good. If we make our little, oop, I did it wrong. I'm gonna need to put that wall back. So if we make our usual little series of rooms and stuff, we have these selection overlays that pretty much work reasonably. We have this other overlay, which is like this is like you're doing something overlay. And then we also have the selection one. So this is like you've selected this stuff. So you can do whatever, grab stuff, copy it, you know, all the good stuff that you'd want in like an editor. But there's this weird problem where if I select into these areas, specifically these areas, that like the interior of a space, we get these little dots, these little white dots. The outline gets overextended 1 pixel outside of where it should be, but only in this exact circumstance. And I cannot figure it out. So because I can't precisely fix the problem, I think I might rewrite the entire auto tiler. When you can't find the specific solution to a problem, rewrite the whole system in which that problem occurs. That's my advice. But yeah, this is our little auto tiling tool. We've also got a cutaway system. which understands like the rooms, like what rooms there are. So we're working on this tool set here. This is kind of the thing we've been working on a long time. Sorry, I'm gonna catch up on chat. Gonna go have a quick midnight snack? Yeah, no worries, thank you. So yeah, that's kind of how the project's been going. Hey JD, what's up? Silas, you've recently started experimenting with making small games for your kids. That's awesome. You have to say it's renewed your passion for building things. You've been a software developer for around 20 years. You're currently taking a break from enterprise development. That sounds like a great recipe for success here. Just making something fun for your kids. All right. So yeah, I kind of want to think about what it would almost be like a parametric. I don't want to say the word parametric. That's a loaded term. But I need like a general auto tiling like edge detection system that can figure out where the edges of surfaces are and stuff like that. But it needs to be general enough that you can plug in certain restrictions. And if they rely on common data, I want to prepare the common data ahead of time. Ozzy died? Did he? It's a, hey, Exo Drifter. Yeah, it's the burning down the house to kill the spider kind of solution. That's exactly what it is. And I think we're getting there. How was open sauce? That's what it was called, right? Rip Ozzy. It's like the gang's all here. Yeah, what did I do? To shenanigans, it's always tempting to redo stuff as you eventually learn the ins and outs of what works and what you need. Can easily get caught in an infinite loop of doing stuff like that. Yeah, I know. But I've already got 3 different auto tilers, so I feel like that's the number of times where you start to be like, could I just have one? Could I just have one with variations? Do I really need 3 different total like rule sets for how to do this stuff? So I think I'm going to walk through some of that mentally and think about how I want to do that. It was okay. Truthfully, you didn't enjoy it that much, open source, because of mental health. Oh, but there's a lot of cool stuff there. Yeah, I was talking to some of the bad collective devs last night at the productivity power up, and yeah, they were like very excited to have met you and saw your game. And I was like, oh yeah, no signal. Can't wait. No. We were just talking about your games because I think Where Gruyere said they met you there, and so we were just talking about no signal as a result of that. Where Gruyere is the Chronomancer dev. It's coming out on the 25th. Woo! That's awesome. Hype. Gonna drop that link in the chat. Well, I hope you sort out the issues that are getting you down. Hopefully the thrill of oh man, the 25th is Friday. Woo! Okay. Exciting. And I'm sure also terrifying. All right. So if we go through kind of just a frame when the tile system runs, it does this initial step of deriving all of this layer data, is what I call it, but that's like just trying to make it sound fancy. What it's really doing is it basically goes through, and during edit time, it figures out what types of hulls everything is. And I'm wondering about the wisdom of having this, or I'm wondering about when I can avoid doing this. Because it's essentially the process that can tell, like, okay, so I just drew this shape, and the auto tiler is actually the one that can tell whether this surface is on the outside, or this surface is on the inside, or this surface is like stuck between two things. So like the light gray is the interior, the mid gray is the outside, the exterior, the dark gray is like the in between. So it's like the surfaces that are smooshed up against other surfaces, and there's like no light between them. And so I have some functions that figures this out, but I've realized I could spin that out into its own system because it only needs to run during edit time, and well, it only needs to run during edit time, but it does need to run whether or not a change has been made. Because you can see it's responding in real time. Like as soon as I smoosh this up against the wall, it becomes dark gray. So maybe that doesn't need to be its own system. It probably should be because it's an edit system. It's an edit time system. Like that, you would never reclassify a hull type during the gameplay. So maybe I should spin that off as an initial step. Yeah, no worries. Take it easy. Take it easy, Titan. Yeah, we're definitely all waiting for the release. I'm also waiting for the release of Memori. It had a tentative release date of like a couple weeks ago, but I think the Kickstarter backers only have it right now. So I'm waiting. Waiting till us regulars, us plebs. All right, so let's just, for simplicity's sake, let's spin that out into its own scene system. Just to make life a little easier. I like to have thin systems. I don't like to have systems that do a lot. I do need to reorganize this project, because right now I've kind of mixed the implementation of the entity component system with like the things that take advantage of it. And I kind of want to split those off. So we're going to call this a hull system because that's what it is and that's what it's doing. Seal it. The hull data is going to need to be made available. We're just going to be able to hold on to it here. I think that's okay. Actually, that's maybe an argument against doing it this way. So right now it's just a dictionary, and it's a dictionary that's tied to each tile. Because hull data is a tile-specific thing, because a block has, like, you know, multiple tiles. Maybe I don't want to do it that way. Just because I only need the data here in the tile system. Oh, no, but this data is going to need to be written to the ships. It's going to need to be stored. Because eventually this is not something that you're going to be recalculating all the time. Man, I'm pushing down into tangents and deviations, and I don't know what the other word is. Diversions. We're deep into a diversion here. But that's okay. That's okay. This is something that we'll eventually want. Silas, would you recommend working with Godot as a newbie? The games you've made so far are more or less small tech demos, but you're thinking about making something a little more ambitious than that. Yeah, I very much recommend Godot, obviously. I think for 2D, it's hard to beat, but obviously people have a lot of success in 3D as well, so it's a very versatile engine. It obviously has a lot more competition in the 3D space. In the 2D space, there's definitely other options as well. Like you could go with Game Maker. There's others that are either fully. There are more. There's a spectrum, obviously, between like frameworks and engines and stuff. But I think it's good. To me, the real joy of Godot has been as a solo developer. It's been really easy to get stuff done. So I think since you're also a solo developer, it could be quite nice. Well, I presume you're a solo developer, but I find it to work really well for individuals. I'm sure it's fine for teams too, because obviously there are huge games being made in Godot by teams, but Ryan and Journey, you feel Godot is really noob friendly. You feel like it grows to pretty well to moderately sized games. Yeah. There's probably a scale at which you need to think about doing something else. GDScript is pretty easy once you get the hang of it. They use like indent based like control flow stuff. So there's so it's a little weird to get used to the structure of the code, but it's actually very intuitive once you get the hang of it. Same thing with their node system. But yeah, I would say pick up you're doing a top-down 2D game aiming for some partially realistic systems with a terminal emulator. Ooh, that's cool. Yes, you're a solo developer. I've known people who have faked entire like operating system interfaces in their Godot games. So I think you could achieve your goals. Top-down 2D is pretty good. Yeah, I think what I would say, do the top-down 2D tutorial. Let me find it. Godot. I did this when I was first getting into the engine, and it was really helpful. Oh, I thought there was a more substantial one, but this one's good. Just like do that. It takes like almost no time, and it's really simple. After that, I would say like just read through a bit of the manual. But yeah, it's surprisingly noob friendly. Also, we have a Discord, so if you run into issues or you want to share your work or just hang out, feel free to hop in there. We're collecting. I collect game developers. All right, so here's the interesting question. Do we want to store hull data, like hull type data, or do we want to just recalculate it? It's not that hard to recalculate. So maybe we just punt on it for now, and then we come back to that later. Because I still can't think of another system that would need to use this data yet. So let's follow our rallying cry of let's not worry about that right now, which we use very selectively. But what I'm interested in, so to wrap that part up, we derive all the hull data about like which tiles belong to which hulls, like what's an outer hull, an inner hull, or a middle hull. So we figure all that out. Then the next step in the thing is the door data one is pretty complicated, actually, maybe. That could also be improved. Then we do a bunch of cutaway stuff. So we cut away blocks. So in the life cycle of the auto tiler, the first thing to do is to figure out, you know, which of these blocks belong to which hull. And then the other one is to which ones and to what extent are they going to be cut away, you know, to accommodate where the cursor is. So we have a couple different cutaway models. I call this the exterior cutaway. This is the one that you use during edit time. And this just, you know, from the point of the cursor, it just cuts everything out along the axes, the 3D axes. Then we have an interior cutaway, which works on a room by room basis, which is how we get this simpler, fancy cutaway. And so that's the room-based cutaway. And then there's the final cutaway type, which is, I say it's like the interior. It's like a variation of the interior cutaway. And this is what happens in an individual room. So the room-based cutaway kicks in. But you can also have an individual cutaway so that you can see behind stuff that you're trying to do, you know. Try to help you see stuff. So those are the cutaways. So those run. You joined? You're Kivitalk on Discord. It means ghost in Greenlandic. That's really cool. That's a very cool name. Welcome in. Give you that wave. So yeah, if you run into issues, or you just want advice, or you just want to hang out, that's what we're there for. All right, so those are the cutaways. So we run all that stuff, and then here's where the 3 tiling systems come in. So maybe what we're doing today is we're just making a plan for what we actually want to do here. Oh, the coffee is becoming more room temperature. Lukewarm is where we're at right now. It's not good. It's unfortunate. I might switch to water now. Planning is good. Yeah. I subscribe to the a plan is useless, but planning is essential. That's the school of planning that I belong to. Like, no plan has ever held up, but the planning phase is still crucial. All right, so here's where we get interesting. So let's look at our 3 different auto tiling techniques for our 3 different purposes. Let's figure out where they're similar. Let's figure out where they're different. Let's figure out where we're doing common work that we could maybe do ahead of time. Oztech. Hey, how's it going? It is going good. How are you? We're working on my isometric 3D FTL-like game. We have 3 different auto tiling techniques. We're doing a little review of them to see if we can compress them into a single technique with maybe some optional parameters or something like that. Because the auto tiling rules is getting complicated. And I'm not enjoying trying to maintain 3 of them. Diginanigans, you usually brew up 2 cups of coffee at a time. Nice. By the time I get around to the second cup, it's usually barely lukewarm. That is unfortunate. But I understand where you're coming from. And thank you, DIGITAL, for being a pillar of the community over on the Discord. I don't always know how to help people to come with questions, so I really appreciate it when anyone is able to or is willing to, you know, get roped in. Rhiannon Journey, you feel like your planning stage is just a discovering information and deciding constraints phase, and then you fly by the seat of your pants. But it is absolutely essential for you for big features or projects. Mostly it's just loading the entire problem set into your brain and deciding a rough approach. Yeah, exactly. That's why the planning part is crucial, right? You're like, what are my constraints? What am I trying to achieve? And then, yeah, you just kind of partition out the problem. And dig in. Naztec, last time you were here, I was working on copying and pasting the tiles. You're excited to see how we progressed. Not to disappoint you, but we don't have much more than that. We're still mainly working on our tool set. So this tool still pretty much works probably about the same as what you saw. The copy and paste stuff is pretty much all done though, which is nice. So we could make a thing here. There is some stuff with an overlay that I'm having problems with. Don't worry about it. And then so I could take this. I could take this whole chunk. I could say copy. And then I can paste it. Get rid of it. And now we've got, now there's 3. And I can do the same thing with the cut. Cut, so I can cut that section. Put it back over here. I didn't cut it with the wall, so, you know. So yeah, the tools coming along. We're at like the finishing stages of it. I'm kind of terrified of moving on, so we're kind of working on more and more obscure and niche aspects of it. We're gonna have to do it sometime. We've got a to-do list that we've kind of been working through of stuff that I think I'll feel happy with what we call the tile block editor when we're done with these steps. It's kind of the first step in our roadmap towards getting an alpha MVP is getting this tile block editor done. And then we're going to move on to the shipboard simulation. That's going to be the next real meaty thing that we'll probably be working on for, you know, 6 months or something like that. So I really want to wrap this up soon. We're definitely way over budget on time. And there's probably a bunch of these I'm probably going to, tasks I'm going to need to leave in the back on the backlog. And then we're going to move on. But some core stuff I really want to tighten up first. Because I don't want fundamental aspects of the editor to change once we start, you know, building and finishing pieces. You're excited for simulation? Yeah, simulation is going to be great. Classic time budget for games. 6 months. How long is this feature going to take? I don't know. It'll be done when I run out of money. DIGITAL, you think you missed the streams where we got all that sorted out? Yeah. It's one of those things where I don't feel like we're making progress because I'm too close to it and I'm doing this every day. But it really helps me when people come back in and they're like, oh, I haven't seen what you've been doing for a couple months. Oh, you've made progress. I'm like, we made progress? Did we? I don't know. It doesn't feel like it. So yeah, I appreciate it. Always over budget on time. Oh yeah, exactly. Every game has been over budget on time. Yeah. I have some ideas for how to like spin this tool and process and everything into some funnier like little projects that might be kind of fun. I don't want to get too distracted, but I was really inspired by, I think it's called like, I'm gonna look for this game. Nope. I'm not gonna be able to find it. Ropuka's Idle Island. I saw this, which is like, I want to get more into these little desktop games. They seem really fun, and they seem like a really fun little thing to do. I'm like thinking about how we could like have a small version of our shipboard simulator and editor tool where you can just like fiddle around with like a little dude and his like long hauler like spacecraft. It would be like space trucking, and all you really do is like decorate your little space truck, or I don't know. I think something like this would probably be fun, and also would probably set me back like a year. It would be something you'd put together because you're like, oh, this would be fun, and then you'd get into it and you'd be like, oh shit, I lost a year to making a little idle desktop game. But I am trying to think about how we could use our tools. Our tools and what we're putting together in a way that would like be multiple things. I don't know. I'm thinking about extracting the value, which is probably the wrong thing to think about. You see so many of these desktop companion idle game things. I know, it's crazy. I think they're really neat. I don't have any installed, but I think they're really neat. So I don't know. The floating island like that is extra cool. Yeah. And Godot can do that stuff. Godot is like not bad at that sort of thing. I know plenty of people who use Godot to make interface stuff like that, like fun little background or control panel-y kind of things. That'd be real neat. I probably won't do it, but it's the kind of stuff that I've been thinking about how do you break up the monotony of, a 6-year project. I say 6 years. It's gonna be more than that. I've been saying 6 years for at least the last year and a half. All right. I'm not doing the thing that I said I was going to do, but that's fine. We're having fun. Add loot boxes. There you go. It'll be way too distracting for you. Yeah, it'd be really distracting for me. I would probably make fundamental changes to the way the main game works just to accommodate some little fun little thing I'm trying to do on the side. Jacob, you feel like you're stuck in time on your project also? Yeah, it's hard to tell progress when you're just doing it every day. All right, so I want to go back to talking about our 3 different auto tilers. So we have the generate tile cell data. This is like the main auto tiler. And this is kind of what I would like to generalize and like make it more like parametric, like be able to pass more stuff into it. Because what we do is we have some edit time only overlays that we build, like mass cursored block tile and upgrade grid tile map data. I would like to come up with a single technique to handle most of those. And pretty much any overlay that I want to do. That's an overlay that's like being wrapped over the 3D block data. Jacob, like those desktop games may need a Pomodoro timer or something, like focus time, and they go do work for you during that, and you can do your work for the day. Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, I don't know. I think it would be really cute to have one that's like a really small ship that's just like a little space freighter thing, and most of the time your little pilot is just like asleep at the wheel, kind of like Ropuka. I forgot the name already for that game. Yeah, because it's It needs to be fun to watch and engage with, but it has to be not that distracting. Someone told me like Brian Eno's like definition of like good ambient music, which is like it needs to be as interesting as it is like ignorable. Like good ambient music is like interesting when you're tuned into it, but also inoffensive to the point where like you can like zone out and ignore it. Perfect excuse if you can coerce it into a game jam. If I could find a game jam that was like an idle desktop game jam where you were allowed to like use pre-existing assets, that would be tempting. That would be a tempting thing to do. Not now, but like maybe when the simulation is further along. As just kind of a tease. It'd be fun to watch him move around, unload stuff, do maintenance stuff, or fiddle at the computer. Yeah, exactly. It would be a really fun little microcosm of the stuff that you would get up to. But at like the level of like a single little like short haul freighter or something like that, where yeah, he'd pilot somewhere, land, unload cargo, load cargo, and then like pilot somewhere else. Maybe every once in a while something breaks down and he has to go like muck about in the engine. You could get him different little hats and jumpers. Maybe put like little different things on the wall. Yeah, it's too much fun of an idea. I have to like get it out of my head because doing something like that would be really, really adorable. Anyway, so generate tile cell data. The hull data is super key because we basically only... I guess that's the core part about the hull data thing. Is I think if we don't need to consider a tile, we don't. Is that true? So yeah, so the hull data is not densely packed, it's sparse because we basically don't record data if we don't need it. Like if a tile, like if there's no deck block, there doesn't need to be a deck tile. So do we continue for any other reason? So maybe we need a new... I think for now we'll keep it as a dictionary that's just sparsely populated. I think that's fine. And so what we do, Silas, you could be a passenger on a large spaceship enjoying the vista, visiting space stations, planets, create automated systems for mining resources or trading. Yeah, there's a very delicate thread of like you want to be able to do stuff, but you don't want to be able to do much, which is why I love that little frog game. Because you don't actually directly control the frog at all. All you can do is like decorate his space a little bit, and he's kind of just does the thing. So I think it would be very much like a fishbowl, kind of almost like a terrarium. Like it's something that you can watch and like you can make little tiny things, but it's not. The idea wouldn't be that you have much interaction if you're doing like a little desktop thing like that. I think the idea is that it's mostly something that can just be observed. Make it only allow one interaction every Pomodoro interval. Okay. All right. Now we're thinking. That could be the Pomodoro timer could be like the time it takes to like jump. Maybe it's the time it takes to jump from or jump, like, you know, hyperspace travel. Maybe the time between two destinations is the Pomodoro timer, so it can be flexible. So the little dude is like flying in his ship. He's flying in his ship. You just see him like asleep at the wheel, flying in his ship. And that when the Pomodoro timer runs out, then you have like a few minutes where he lands and like unloads cargo, loads cargo, maybe brings on some passengers or something like that. And then he takes off again, and now you're back to the Pomodoro timer. That'd be really fun. That'd be really fun. Who am I, DevDuck? I'm like making a Pomodoro timer now all of a sudden. I feel like DevDuck did that and he lost like 4 months of productivity. Just doing a little Pomodoro timer. I remember seeing that video recently. The guy runs off to focus and you should focus too. Yeah, that'd be really cool. Stop tempting me. Stop giving me good ideas. I think that would be a really fun vertical slice sort of thing. It's not a vertical slice. It would be like, it's not even a beautiful corner or whatever, as Tim Kaine said. I think it would just be a fun little tie-in. We'll see. That's something that's going to stay in the back of my mind that I'll put no conscious effort into, but it's something. Be a very an easy vertical slice to do. Oh, you could do it in a week, easy. I should do it. Oh, you're killing me. Yeah, I should do it. I should do it. It's game jam sized. It is game jam sized. I think when we have more systems in place, when we have the simulation kind of a little bit, I say a little bit more mature, I would say running it all. When we have a simulation and we can build a ship and we can have the ship move around and we can like have like little characters pathfinding around and stuff. I think once we have the bare bones of like a functional interaction, I think I am going to pretty seriously think about that, because it would be a fun use case of pushing some art assets to completion. It would be a fun experiment on how to get the vibe of this game. I think that would be really fun. Your favorite thing is convincing other people to do ideas you think are cool so you don't have to do them. I think that's great. You're definitely not the laziest game dev. A lazy game dev, I don't think would have made the same the same decisions you made making your game. Like your the black hole shader stuff that you've done is wild. Maybe a perfect Pomodoro timer. Yeah, I guess I'm doing this, huh? That's fine. That's fine. We have the benefit of not being on a schedule because I have a day job. So, you know, if we want to spend a few months on a Pomodoro timer, you know, we'll probably get the time back. You know, once we have the Pomodoro timer, we'll probably be so productive that we'll get all the time back. You did it the easiest way by porting MIT licensed code. Oof. It could double as your stream overlay. Ooh. Having that running in like the corner of my stream would be such a good talking point. I forgot who. Maybe it was actually Black Void Titan who had it, but someone had like basically like a 30-second trailer of their game running in like the corner of their stream window at all times, and I was like, that's a good idea. Faust Circuits. Thank you for the follow. Be careful, y'all. Don't make any Faustian covenants with the circuitry. I don't know. I wanted to make a joke. I don't know. I could see an electrical engineer making a Faustian covenant. That would make sense, actually. How's Godot treating me? It's good. Oh, Wallaber does that. Maybe it was Wallaber I was watching. You did both C++ and circuit design? Oh, cool. Godot is treating me well. Godot is treating me well. I'm kind of very selectively using Godot. We're very selective about our use of Godot. Godot is kind of our rendering and like UI system, and then we have like a separate simulation layer that we're running in C+ or in C# that I should have written in C++, but I don't know how, so I didn't do it. So we're working on this like 3D shipbuilding tool that we're gonna need to build these 3D spaceships that I want to make, and we're rendering them in isometric 2D. So we have a bunch of systems with that. We have 3 different auto tilers, and what I'm ostensibly working on today is thinking about how we could unify our different auto tiling layers into a single process. That's what I'm supposed to be working, but in fact, all we're really doing is yapping. And I'm being tricked into working on another game. Lurk, no worries. Thank you, Exodrifter. Yeah, someone's got to get some work done. It's not going to be me. You catch the YouTube sometime? You saw my early streams? Oh, cool. Then hopefully you have some idea of of how we do this. That's cool. Thank you. I'm glad you caught me live here. Diginanigans, you need a little self-playing Tetris game in the corner that you can click on, and then it turns your full screen into a game of Tetris with transparent background. Oh, that'd be pretty cool. All right, so to look at our different auto tilers, so we basically run through each hull, which is essentially like we've identified that we need a tile here because there's a hull key here. So we run through all those. Cutaway, we figure out the cutaway data for that particular block. Okay, cutaways are per block, which makes me think that cutaways... Oh, no, this is fine. So if there's a full cutaway, then we just don't even worry about this tile. Otherwise, we pull out the hull value. We initialize some tile data, some like default tile data. We pre-declare all of these adjacent hulls, which I don't love, but the switch statements don't really like you reusing out variables, so... So then we go through each specific tile. So we say, like, what's your tile layer, which is your W vector or your W coordinate in the vector. So if you're like a specific, so here's where it gets complicated, which is like, here are the auto tiling rules for a deck, for a floor piece, for the X face of a floor piece. These are all the auto tiling rules. It's complicated. We need to refer to other hull data. We need to refer to other cutaway data. It's pretty much just hulls and cutaways. And the deck Y does something similar, but, you know, for in reverse, not reverse, but, you know, the along the other axis. The Z is easy. It's just like the top face of the floor piece. Same thing. So we're doing all this stuff. We're mostly concerned with the hulls and the cutaways. I don't think we access any block data. No, we don't even pass in the block data. So we don't access any block data, which is hopeful. And then, so we do all this bulk data. So this is the complexity, is this crazy string of auto tiling rules, which is just like, here are the conditions under which you can shift the atlas chords to some alternative tile. And this is so that we can handle all the outlining correctly. But the outlining is a good representation of just an edge. So it's like figuring all this stuff out. The door is probably the more complicated. No, it's actually one of the simpler cases. The door is a pretty simple case. So we do that. So this is like the regular auto tiler process to like just render a regular block tile. We do all of that. Once we figured that out, we define the tile. We up the counts for this particular layer. And then so here's the variant of the auto tiler that only works on overlays. It just does overlays. So, and it just does the selection overlay specifically for when you've actually clicked down and selected something. So this one's even simpler. So this is where the behavior diverges, essentially. This one, instead of iterating over every hull, it only iterates through the tiles that we just defined above. And that's nice because it simplifies a lot of the behavior. But we still have to check a bunch of block data. So instead of doing all the complex tile stuff we were doing above, instead we just do some simple block-based checking, which we couldn't otherwise do. If not for all the work that we did before. And that creates a much simpler auto-tiling process for the outline. Like, this is much simpler than the auto-tiling rules above, right? Very simple by comparison. So we do all that. Excuse me. We set up that tile data. Same deal here. We output the pack tile data, which this is a generalized function that can output any pack tile data. You just need a node to target. You need to send it the tile data, and you need to send it the target node. And weirdly, you need to send it this information as well. But that's just because we're still using the constants here. We might not substitute. I mean, we're eventually going to substitute these constants with something else, which is why I'm passing them through and not just using them. Actually, why am I even passing them through? I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? All right, and then here's the third. This is the third auto tiler that we have in here. This is the one that's just for like hover blocks. Let me try to do a better job of explaining all the different pieces we're using. So like the first auto tiler is only concerned with the actual blocks, these things, right? Like the actual blocks that we could place. That's what it's concerned about. The selection auto tiler is only concerned with these little duders, just the outlines over. This is the selection auto tiler. And this has to be handled a certain way. The selection, a thing being selected is a feature of the block, because we could consider, I could shift, is it not shift click? Is it control click? Oh, shift click. Oh, I can't actually select more than one thing at a time. When did that happen? I should be able to shift click and add things to the selection. Oh, well, that's a bug to go find. Okay, and then the third auto tiler is for this cursor thing that's following me around. And so if I like right click and drag, this is what you get as a result. And I really like this one, actually. I like how subtle it is. I like how it's just using overlap to show an interior grid. It has some problems, like don't worry about that. I kind of want to use this instead of the selection one we have. I kind of want the selection to look like this until you let go of the mouse, and then I want it to switch to this. So kind of like the way we have it here, where it's like highlight when you're mousing over a piece of the palette, and then when you click it, it actually just swaps the outline. That's kind of how I want it to work. That would be neat. So we could still have this and it just wouldn't switch to this state at the end. I think that would be neat. And I think that'd pretty much be the model of every overlay. It would basically look like this, with the option of having an outlined version. So I think essentially what we need is we need an outline aware, we need an edge aware overlay, or an edge aware auto tiler and a non-edge aware. Like an auto tiler that just doesn't care about edges, and one that does. Because like this one doesn't care. But this one does care about where the edges are. Well, I guess actually arguably this one does. Oh no, it does care because of like wall pieces. And there's an argument to be made to soften up the interior lines here so that they look like this one. That might actually be something we work on, because that would be easy. So let's... Oh. Why can I select that? Okay, so if I'm... Huh. So if I'm trying to select with a left click and then I right click, problems occur. Interesting. We need to handle that. Pain63, welcome in. Hi, do I use the IDE of Godot? I do. When I'm writing GDScript. So our project is kind of split between a C# component and a GDScript component. The C# component is part of like a separate simulation layer. But yeah, when I am just, if I'm making a jam game or I'm in here and I'm working on a GDScript, I like the built-in IDE. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's nice. I don't really like the way GDScript appears in Writer, so I do not edit it here. I like just doing it here. And it kind of helps me get into a different headspace, because if I'm writing GDScript in Godot, it helps me get into that headspace a little better than I think if I tried to put GDScript in here, because then now my brain knows, okay, we're writing C# because we're in Writer. But welcome in. What kind of Godot stuff are you working on? If you are, or if you're thinking about it, you're thinking about getting into Godot. I'm curious. All right, so what was the thing? So why? Here's our question, our unrelated question. Why is the additive select not working? Also, place should... We should do this. Oh, if command.next.step is not equal to add deselect blocks in, then select blocks in. So I think we're misfiring on the input handler, possibly. But anyway, I need to move this step to here. Oh, we just say deselect blocks in. Oh, it says cowards. Hold on a second. Should it be prior bounds? Yeah, it should probably be prior bounds. Prior bounds. You prefer C#? You use Godot for small tests only, nothing serious. Okay. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you can totally, you don't have to use GDScript. Faust, you've been learning Unreal Engine for a week. You have some 3D menus and resource pickups. Nice. What's going on here? Making sure I'm not going to get rickrolled. You would not believe the number of times I get rickrolled on stream. It's 0, but people try. Oh, this is slick. Nobody can hear the sound effects, but believe me, there's some cool sound effects here. This is really slick. What is this just for a test, or is this this looks cool. I like your defense cannon stuff. I really like this I really like this stuff. This is juicy. You got the juice in here. The bloom is strong with this one. Very cool. We like that. We like that. Super cool. You're making an FTL knockoff with minigames? Hell yeah. Cannons were made by ChatGPT, then you use the image to make a 3D model with Hunyon 3D 2.1. Is that like also an AI tool? Hunyon 3D. Yeah, it's like a stable diffusion kind of thing. Text to 3D generation model made by Tencent. Oh, wow. That's pretty crazy. We handcraft everything here, but, you know, whatever works for you. Especially if you're just generating an intermediate step towards something. I don't mind. Why did I go for the lukewarm coffee? Why did I do that to myself? It's for prototyping? Oh, yeah, I understand. Like I said, no judgments. It's an interesting approach. It's an interesting... oh, you locally run it too. Okay. You clean it up a bit in Blender. Yeah, no worries. You gotta prototype fast. The easiest, the fastest way to prototype is to, you know, not have to do any of it yourself, right? That's cool. All right, let's see if I fix that one bug. What theme am I using for Rider? The colors. The colors are fine. Yeah, I like the colors. I like the Rider colors. I think I'm using Nightfall. So if I do this now... I used to be very customized about my Rider colors, but now I just use a theme. I can't be bothered. So let's see. So I can I do this and then shift click over here? No. However, can I do this and then start pasting stuff over here? Okay. What if I do this and I start? Okay. So we don't accidentally retain a selection box when I go do something else, which is good. We don't want to see it. Okay, this command is not being added. The command.nextStep add. We don't seem to be doing that or detecting that. Let's understand why. Input map. I guess it's not an input map thing. It's an input handler thing. Our input handling is kind of scuffed because we're detecting input in Godot and then handing it off to the C# layer. Deep Ocean? No. It's Nightfall. Themes. Appearance. Yeah, Nightfall. I like it. All right, so we find, where is the select input? Continue selection, end selection, begin interaction, begin selection, match game.status string, edit, args, If input.isKey pressed key shift, the shift key, args.append add, else args.append replace. I'm just gonna put this here. We're just gonna print whether we're pressing the key or not, just to make sure that this key is working the way I expect it to. Okay. So yeah, shift key works. No, I don't want sticky keys. Literally no one has ever wanted sticky keys in the history of time. It's probably not true. But it does feel like that sometimes. Especially for a gamer. I'm like, no, I press the shift key sometimes, okay? Sometimes I press it 5 times in a row. Alright, so this is a little weird. It's possible the append is not happening, but that seems unlikely. Coords, begin, add. Okay. So for a command, enum parse command next step. If the command is begin, then if command next step is not equal to add, then we deselect first. Oh, wait, what? Select blocks in. Huh. Maybe we just flip this to say replace. See if that has a change of behavior. Okay, this part works. What if I shift? Huh. What is it? It's debug.writeLine. Get rid of this. Let's find this error. So if I do this and I grab this, replace, shift, click, add. Okay, so it knows that I want to add to the selection. It just won't do it. Fascinating. We can go back to this if it's not add thing. Reveal blocks in. Oh, it's the reveal. That undoes, the reveal undoes. Output.set coords input.get coord. Oh, shoot. Okay, we can't do that. We need to do that differently. All right, so right now we're just literally setting each coordinate. It has to not be that. It has to be... Maybe reveal all blocks is a problem. Maybe we need to not do it that way. Can we say, instead of reveal blocks in preview blocks.aabb, can we just say, is there a reason we need to do a full reveal? No, we just need to do prior coord. That should fix it. That might introduce a different error, but it should fix it. So now if I do this, shift. Yeah, okay, that works now. And so now if I say cut. Oh. Why did you only cut that? Oh no. Oh, that's why we have to do it. Okay, okay. Maybe select shouldn't be a characteristic of the block. Maybe select should be another like dictionary or something to make this easy. Because the problem is that we're rolling back the state of the block buffer. Oh, we need to retain the selection. And there's a couple ways we could do that, but I would rather not do it the way I'm describing here. So we're going to bring select blocks back, which we weren't using. And let's do this the hard way. Oh, shoot. Who asks about the select status of a block? You do. You do a lot. All right, let's get rid of this enum state just for fun. Let's get rid of the select flag and see just how many errors pop up. Probably a lot. Okay, select can't be a part of this then. Similarly, then deselect can't be a part of this. I think it's okay to do this, to have the select data only in the edit system, because at playtime, you're not gonna, if you select like a big swath of hull blocks, it's not gonna matter. All that's gonna matter is which objects you've selected. All right, this song is horrible. I don't know what's happening right now. Dislike. Yeah, I think we're going to try to model the selection data. Oh, what does tool system have to do with this? So this has to be in the edit system. That's okay. That is okay. I can work with this. Yeah, then we don't have to worry about the hidden block aspect of selections. And we could do this a different way and have it be less crazy. I kind of never liked having the selection be a characteristic of the block itself. However, this can't be just a secret hidden hash set here. This has to be a characteristic of the edit system, I think. Or yeah. Maybe not even the edit system. Maybe it would be... All right, let's rewrite it to be like this then. Let's just say none of this matters. Funny approach I'm taking to rewriting the auto tiler, changing the whole selection system. But you know, c'est la vie. So instead of deselect blocks in, we would just say select blocks dot clear. Here we would also say select blocks dot clear. And in fact, I don't know why I'm doing it this way. Oh, I know why I'm doing it this way. It's because command.next.step increments the step. I don't know this tool very well. I'm constantly just opening up windows that I have no idea what they are or where they come from. All right, so here's where we do the fancy thing. We would say, so instead of this, we would say select blocks.clear. Can I add a... Okay, so these functions actually need to... Maybe I do need some of these functions here. Which of these are actually being used? So instead of block.select buffer get index coords, you would just say select blocks. Hide this. We actually don't need to do that. This we also don't need to do. We don't need a safety check there. Doesn't matter. Hey, still needs work. How's it going? How are you doing? Happy Tuesday. If buffer.get coords is empty, I don't need any of these checks. Is there like an add range? No, of course not. All right, this is much simpler. And in fact, we don't use the buffer at all in any of these, so we could probably just get rid of them. You're doing okay? How am I doing? I'm all right. The usual, you know, tired, unfocused, out of coffee. You know how it is. How do I make or get sounds and music for the game? So for the games that I've made, I like to do physical Foley art and music. So like, so here's a link to a remastered version of my Ludum Dare game. So for this game, I actually made, just with a microphone, I recorded the music. I made the sound effects. So we made the sound of an ocean with like, I think I used like a tray of rice or something like that. Actually, I used oats. I used the rolled oats. I should have used rice. I don't know why I used rolled oats. Then we made like ocean wave sounds. We made like crashing sounds. I made the music on a mandolin. So I'm a very physical person when it comes to doing that, just because of that's what I'm comfortable with. However, for this game, this is going to need to be all digital. Or if not all digital, mostly digital. Rolled oats for the rolling waves. Yeah, that is, maybe, I guess that was appropriate, huh? Yeah, for other game jams, I've just used free assets. So Itch also has a lot of free assets. So if you need free assets for sounds and music and stuff, I would check out Itch. There's other places. But yeah, I want to get into digital audio workstation stuff. I want to get into digital music and digital sound effects. I have not done any of it. I keep trying to come up with an excuse, but like a jam is not a good place to learn that stuff for the first time because of the time commitment or the time constraint. Content of collection select blocks is only updated but never used. Yeah, because you're going to be used somewhere else. All right, so now we need to hook this into a system. I honestly don't know if... I'm honestly not sure where this should be stored. Maybe this should be stored on input. It's kind of not input, though. Oh, selection AIBB. I think we're going to store it on edit system for now. Nah. Maybe it should be in the input. We'll just put it in input. Who uses this? Oh, the clipboard uses this. I understand. Well, that's going to get confusing really quick. Let's see if we can figure this out. So hold on. Where does someone actually use this to do something? Ah. Oh, so you can only clip a single bounding box. That's not right. Okay, okay. I see a good use of this already. Random Journey, you can sit in front of the mic and say beep boop. Don't tempt me. I can't do it. I want to be able to imitate the you know, the sound of like text scrolling across the screen like in dialogue. I love that. I love the way people get that sound. That like fake like voiceover sound. It's not Simlish, it's like literally just beeps and boops. I would love to be able to do that. So yeah, so sound is very much a TBD solution for this game. That is a good sound. But yeah, I want a really convincing thing of that, because there's not going to be any spoken. There's not going to be any voiceover in this game. I'll tell you that much. So I'm going to need really expressive and convincing like facsimiles of like dialogue. It's going to be important. All right, so already this, I was like, when I was doing the multi-shift click thing, so I was like selecting an area over here and selecting an area over here. And then when I went to copy it into the clipboard, it only selected one part, the like most recent part. And I realized that's because we're defining a bounding box of the selection. And that actually can't be the way this works. It's actually going to need to be more complicated than that. So, cool. Cool beans is what that is. So let's do this. Let's change selection to be a hash set of coordinates. Also, this can't be set. This can only be get. Can only be getted. I think input is fine. Copy to clipboard is a function of Godot? No, it's a function of mine. So what it was doing was just copying out of a bounding box into an array. I also don't love this. I think I need to make this a buffer on the tool system. I don't love that it's just an array. It's designed this way so that in theory it could be smaller than the buffer that it comes from, but in practice it's exactly the same size, so I don't know why we do that. In fact, we don't even need to pass this in at all. So it would be for each coordinate in buffer dot AABB. We'll say if game.input.selection. So if it doesn't contain this coordinate, then we just continue. That's easy. This could be a static function as well.
Maximum warp.
Maximum warp, no jewel. Off to work. Thanks for the stream. Thank you, Jacob. I don't know what this song is either. We're listening to something spooky. A little too spooky. We're gonna listen to chiptune music for a little bit. I think we're at like the last 30 minutes of the stream, so I think we're gonna just kind of get a little hyped up. But this might be a little too hype. Let me know if this is too much for people. I need some energy. Also, channel point redeems. You can just change the radio station at any time, I think. Or skip songs and stuff. I don't think I've paused any of those. I just need I need something a little more driving to close out what we're doing here. Oh yeah, what was I doing? I was moving copy to clipboard. Did I do that already? It sounds like upbeat crunch music pressuring you into finishing up what you're working on. That's what it's for. But if it if it doesn't match the vibes that we're trying to go for here, just feel free to tell me, because this is supposed to be we're still supposed to be kind of chill co-working session. So if I ever become unchill, someone tell me. Payne, are you living in London? No, I'm in San Francisco. All right, so now when we say clipboard, we say copy to clipboard. We don't need to pass in the selection. We just need to pass in the buffer to copy from. Clipboard bounds. Oh, we need to calculate that, huh? What do we use clipboard bounds for? Would be my question. Oh, we use it for a lot. So we just need to make this. We're gonna have like. We're gonna call this get clipboard bounds. Oh wow, so smart. Yeah, I think eventually we would want to be able to return the bounds. And instead of returning an array, we just have a buffer that we write to. That's stored on the system. Silas, you know so little or next to nothing about game development and how writing code for games differs from writing code in enterprise context. You guess focus on performance in very small iterations or something which could be different. For example, do people write tests when they develop games? Some people believe in a test-driven development. Some people, I'm one of them, believe test-driven development is a very dubious proposition when you're working either by yourself or on a small team on a game. But some people think it's deeply applicable, so I would say the big difference, I would say the difference isn't necessarily like enterprise coding and game development are that different. Having done neither of them particularly, in a large scale, I think it really has to do with team size. So if you're working on something for yourself, I don't think a lot of enterprise coding practices apply because you're the only person on the team. And then I think maybe the only other thing is prototyping. Is like, I think prototyping is maybe a little more, because in games you really can't design it all in advance. It's iteration speed is the king of game development. Like, that's what really matters. So I think just programming in a way where you acknowledge that nothing you come up with is going to stick around in its original form. It's all going to be a response to how the game actually feels to play. So I would say that, like, you're not going to do a waterfall game dev, right? Right? Unless you're literally making a game that you've already made. Hey! Hey, Arneo. Thank you for the follow. How's it going? Well, that was a sudden end. There does seem to be one quite different thing going on here. There seems to be a lot of state management and a lot of manipulation of state. That's, I wouldn't, don't look at me as an example of what you should be doing. But yes, games do tend to be heavy on state. That is usually true. Here, I have a book recommendation for you that's available for free. You can purchase it. I own the book, but you can also just get it for free. And I highly recommend it. You can read it entirely online. You can purchase it or read it entirely online for free. Game programming patterns. I think you'd like that. That shows a lot of different ways of applying the classic programming patterns, like the Big Four's programming patterns, to game dev. And yeah, I think it's worth a buy. Bob Nystrom is awesome, an awesome classic dev that's been in the industry a long time and definitely deserves money. But you can also just read the whole thing on the internet first and then make your mind up. You forgot to follow last time you were here? No worries. Oh, you can't sleep. Oh man, summer for you up where you are is really rough. We have had the mildest summer in multiple decades. It was raining and nice and cool this morning. So I have not been having that experience, but I'm sorry you have. So what are we doing? We need to define an AABB. And then we need to expand that bounding box to the limit of the selection area. Music is stressing me out. Bad Cop, you can't wait to play this level editor? Exactly. Exactly. I can't wait either. Rhiannon Journey, you've thought about snapshot testing for my auto tiling? Essentially, once you get it working as expected by hand, you make a script to generate a whole bunch of different ship layouts and screenshot them. Then later on, you can run that same script and compare your new screenshots against the old screenshots for pixel perfect accuracy. Problem is that after you make a real expected change to the system, you have to recreate your initial snapshot data. Oh, that does not sound fun. That would probably work. Also, hey, Bad Cop. I enjoyed your Minecraft charity stream. That was fun. I'm waiting for your GodotCon talk to show up on YouTube. I don't know if Emmy's posted it yet, but I'm waiting. Still needs work. You're learning state machine stuff for Godot from a tutorial for a 2D fighting game. Oh yeah, Godot's pretty cool for state machine stuff. You can actually just use nodes as states in your state machine. I think that's a really fun, simple way to manage a state machine. You bookmarked it too? Oh yeah, Game Programming Patterns is a good book. It also helps if you're trying to like convert all the language you're used to speaking about with like enterprise programming into like a more game focus. Cool. You've been checking daily? Okay, yeah. I saw the first few went up. And so I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for more. You don't like the node style state machine? I don't like it either, but look, we're trying to be like accessible to beginners. We're trying to like encourage people to use the stuff that Godot already has. Yeah, because sometimes you want to break the rules of the state machine. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah. It's pretty rigid. I think I'm going to implement like my own state stack in here. I've already got the basics of it, but I haven't started stacking them, but I think I'm going to use a state stack model. So it's like you boot up the game, your first state is like main menu, and then you add the play state and you add maybe an edit state. And so you're like stacking up the different states, and then you can pop them off and go back, and you'll end up back at the main menu again, and you can quit out. And yeah. Oh, I need to set that up because right now the game just boots right into the test bed. I need to like set up more of a menu system. Make it look like I've actually got a game. Okay, I want to change this now because I could make a separate get clipboard bounds function, or I could just have that be what returns when you copy to clipboard. I'm not going to do that now though, because that would be much. So what we could do is we could say why am I doing it this way? Also, we're not changing the buff. Oh, yeah, we are. Okay. All right, that should be fine. That should be enough to get the bounds back. We don't even use the buffer. Yeah, whatever. That works. That works for now. Copy to clipboard. Switch statement is all you need. Have you seen my code? I've got switch statements on switch statements here for handling user input. It's so gross, but you know, it works. So yeah, I'm definitely pro. You could get away with switch statements. When are we gonna play this new space game that came out today? Ooh, what came out today? Wildgate. Wildgate. Ooh, this looks sick. PvP multiplayer shooter. This song is fire. Hold on. Pirate burglar theme. Okay. I'm watching 2 different videos of this game going. We're watching the trailer and a stream. Oh, this is sick. Some buddies of mine have been trying to get me to play Void Crew. I'm like kind of waiting on that game, but this looks really cool. Multiplayer FPS shooter. Ship-to-ship combat with first-person action. That's cool. So you have a ship and you're doing like FPS stuff. Oh, they just snuck onto your ship. This looks really sick. Oh, and you can like, oh yeah. That's nice. This is looking cool. It's looking cool. It's fun. I believe you. I'm gonna wishlist this. And see if my crew is interested in this. You just hope it doesn't die immediately. I hope it gets picked up. I feel like everyone's always annoyed enough at like Team Fortress and Marvel Rivals and stuff that, oh, it's by Dreamhaven. Oh, it's published by Dreamhaven. Man, Dreamhaven is everywhere. But yeah, I feel like people are unhappy enough with those games that they'll come try these games out, and then a month later they'll be back on Team Fortress or whatever, right? Like they're like those players are always looking for new games, but they're always going back to what they know after like a minute. $30 for a matchmaking game is kind of nuts. Yeah, I think this is kind of wild. It's been out today and it's got 241 reviews. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. Having just come out. Well, yeah, good luck to him. But yeah, Dreamhaven is everywhere, man. This is Mike Morhame's publisher, right? They are all over the place. I've been playing a lot of Mechabellum, and they've been helping to refresh this game. And now their thing is Wildgate. We've also got Sunderfolk and Linked. Huh. Cool. Yeah, I'm excited to see what they're doing. They're doing all right. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Overwatch is Oh yeah, I kept saying Team Fortress 2. I meant Overwatch. That's so funny. I'm a Team Fortress 2 forever kind of guy. That's like the only one of those kinds of games I ever got into. And I played it a lot. Arneo looks more polished version of Stars of Icarus, which is an upcoming game you've been looking at. Okay. Bad Cop, you think Moonshot is like straight up owned by Dreamhaven? That's possible. Yeah, Dreamhaven actually muscled into Mechabellum. They like came in and took over development almost. They said it's in partnership with the original devs, but the Dreamhaven name comes first in the splash screen now. Now it's like Dreamhaven plus, I don't even remember who makes Mechabellum, but I was like, oh, okay, Dreamhaven. They got a lot of clout, which is fair. You'd expect them to have a lot of clout. All right, we accomplished almost nothing today, but I feel like we had a really great time doing it. So thanks for everyone hanging out today. We're probably going to wrap up relatively soon, but this has been really fun. All right, so when I want to set this up, game.input.selection. So what I actually want to do is I actually just want to clear this. Right? Yeah. And we want to say game.input. No, then we want to say... Oh, hold on a second. We need to get rid of this, actually. Still needs work. Overwatch seemed highly influenced by TF2. I think that's a reasonable conclusion. God, I hate working in this nested switch statement input processor thing. I want to change the way this works. But that's yet another distraction. Game.input.selection equals bounds. Yeah, that's not how that works. It makes me a little nervous that we use this for something else. We might actually use this for something. I'm just going to comment that one out because I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried about the consequences to our copy-paste thing. We should really change this to be like a set option or like a setter or something. I don't know. It's a little weird the way we're doing this. Now that we've made it something that lives in the input singleton instead of just a interior thing. Oh, DIGITAL was talking about TDD. TDD works well when you're writing code as a library or API that others consume. For user-facing stuff, end-to-end tests once you're done making stuff is ideal. But a major chore for a solo game dev. Yeah, that's where the value proposition to me kind of falls apart. Not that like my time is particularly valuable or that I use it well. All right, so now we have this problem, which is it's expecting these to be part of. So it would need to say this, and so it would be if it has this and game.input.selection.contains negative y. Oh, that's the block, not the, oh, jeez. Okay. I don't love how I've set this up for myself. It would need to be this. All right, autofill actually did the right thing for once. That's kind of wild. All right, if not block.has, select continue. Instead, what we say is if not game.input.selection.contains key.xyz. DIGITAL, you think the one thing that is arguably worth writing tests for is save files once your game is shipped, making sure the different versions you ship can load old save data without corrupting it? I think that's a reasonable application. I think being afraid of corrupting save data by making changes is definitely something I'm concerned about, especially if like the schema changes or something. I've been thinking about how to save ship data, and I think I need to save information about the version. Or even just instructions on how to unpack it so that you don't have to look that up somewhere. I don't know. Less important for games that don't have save state you care about for long periods of time, but many frustrating stories of people shipping updates to games and accidentally corrupting user data. Yeah, that is a huge problem. Silas, TDD was originally intended to help you shape the way you write your code. For example, it would help you focus on writing the absolutely minimum possible implementation that is necessary to pass the test, and then refactor over the code as you add more tests. However, it seems to have become synonymous for a lot of people with ensuring your code works. That is supposed to be more of a side benefit. Yeah, I'm not enough of an expert because I've never actually had to do TDD, so all I can do is parrot what other people have said, but there's been more than one talk from fairly people I would generally trust, like Primogen and like Casey Muratori, and they're like pretty skeptical about the applications of TDD to game development. So I don't know. It's certainly not for me, which is very much different than saying it's not for everyone. All right. This music is having its intended effect because I feel incredibly rushed to finish this in the next few minutes here. If we can get back to a vaguely playable state by the end of this, in the next few minutes, that would be ideal for me here. I don't like where we've ended up with this check, but part of what we were trying to do here is to rewrite the auto tiler anyway, so I'm not so concerned. Random Journey, you test a fair amount in your PHP apps, but you rarely TDD. You get working code and test by hand, and once you're confident you're in a good state, you'll write tests for a happy path and then start testing edge cases and errors. Yeah, I think I'm generally not going to worry about it until, like, Diginanigans says, because to me, just the game's, like, it's pretty obvious to me if something's going wrong. Because it's like, you know, how do you write a test for the entire game, right? That's not possible. So it's kind of like what Silas was talking about, like writing the minimal implementation. But I feel like that's at conflict with the fundamental complexity of like a game. So I don't know. But I think the idea of testing like how updates work on old data, I think that's a pretty reasonable context. Just going through, having a bunch of possibly, like you said, hand-built test data, and then seeing like how that interacts with the new version of the game, I think would be quite good application of testing for us, just to make sure, because we don't want people's old ship designs to become, we don't want to brick people's ship designs just because we put out an update, right? That would be crazy. Come on, autofill. Autofill was working for like 5 seconds. There we go. I'm like, you're going to give me autocomplete. At least do something when I'm doing something boilerplatey. Help me out with the boilerplate. Do the one thing autocomplete is good at. Oh, now you have no idea what you're doing, but you got close enough. This radio station is sick, but it's definitely way too hype for most of the stream. Oh yeah, I want to have room for a raid, or time for a raid at the end too, so I need to keep that in mind as we get to the end here. This is just meant as a stopgap. What we're writing here, just to retain the behavior. All right, just a few more cases. Let's see if we can do this in a way where the autocomplete actually kicks in. So if I clean this up first, And then I new line this. Oops. And then I start writing it. You have an easier time now. There you go. Okay, now. Okay, under that strict circumstance, autocomplete seems to have some idea of what to do. But I have to new line this first. It's very brittle. It's kind of the only AI system I have. Oh, there we go. It's doing it. It's doing it. Oh, here we go. This is an easy one. Negative Z. Okay. Minus Z. This radio station's your brain 90% of your time. How do you get anything done? All right, just 2 more branches, and then I think we're done. Silas, you think at higher levels tests could potentially be useful? Just to ensure that changes to complex systems which manipulate the same state do not cause unrelated things to break. But you guess that might be where some of the patterns come in to reduce the complexity, like the observer pattern. It's a lot of ifs. Yeah, it is. No, you're not. I get that you're not preachy. Believe me, I've had people tell me that if I'm not doing TDD, I'm doing it wrong. Or I'm not doing X, I'm doing it wrong. I don't feel like that's what you're saying, so don't worry about that. We generally don't try to say things like doing X is not good and you shouldn't do it. Generally, my response to things like this is, here's why we're not doing that. Whether it's good or not, there's often usually have a personal reason why I'm not too concerned about something like that. I think it has applications. I think you'll be fine. Yeah, Faust, you're also talking about file format validation and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that's a good application because that's something that you might not otherwise see, obviously. But in my mind, especially if you're very familiar with the workings of a game and you're the one person working on the game, I don't see, like, I feel like the game running is the context. Like the test that you need to pass is like, does the game run consistently? And like, I don't think you can write a test for that. It's like I can't make this argument because I don't have time or the ability to articulate it well enough, but there's a question of what is the size of the test and what's the context of the test. It's like if you're trying to come up with rules, and it's like rules can want to be a certain size. Like there's a limit to like how big a rule can be before it's like it becomes too brittle. And I think tests are like that too, where there's a natural size for a test where the test is like robust and good. But I think it's really hard when you're talking about some big holistic piece of this holistic like chimera of like programming and like art assets and like UX. I think it's really hard to write a convincing series of tests that can like cover that context. But it's probably doable. You would just need to be like an expert in that sort of thing, I think, to be able to make the attempt. And so I am not. I think if you're coming from TDD, I say keep doing it. I mean, there's one of the reasons I've got an entity component system in here is because I like thinking about things in terms of entity component systems. Is it the best? Is it the best thing? No. Is it right for the game I'm trying to make? Probably not. Or it's not strictly necessary, at least. But I like it, so I do it. And some people tell me, oh, the game you're making doesn't require an entity component system. It's like, yeah, but it's not hurt by it. Some people do tell me it's hurt by it, but I don't think it is. I say develop games the way you're comfortable. And if that means you end up writing an entity component system in C# in a managed memory language, you know, that happens sometimes. Is it good? No. Is it where we've ended up? Sure. Am I off topic at this point? Yes. All right, are we done with this rewrite? All right, let's run this so to see if it crashes. Still needs work. It feels like most tutorials for Godot are normally just for GDScript instead of for C#. That's very true. Okay, so we have permanent selection grid. Permanent griditis. Here. Selectitis is what I'm going to call this. All right, so why is that happening? Game.input.selection.contains. Oh, if not, game.input.selection contains. There we go. All right. This seems to be fine. So simple test is let's select 2 disparate corners and let's try to copy that content. Crash. All right, that's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. All right, we're getting a get index out of range thing. Oh, because of how I'm I understand. I understand why this happened. It's because I'm doing something silly here. Actually, where am I doing the silly thing? It's up here, isn't it? So this should actually be buffer.aabb, and here we should say if there we go. Did shenanigans? You're programming your game in TypeScript. There are certainly people that have their opinions about that. Yeah, whatever gets the job done runs well and sparks joy developing. That's part of the thing I like about game dev more than anything else is at the end of the day, nobody cares. I mean, some people care. Like some people are impressed that Animal Well is 33 megabytes, right? Myself included. And the Animal Well, Billy Basso wasn't even trying to do that. I think that's his name. He was like, you know, I could have probably gotten it less if I was actually going for that. But it's like, you know, no one cares about how it's made. They care about the end result, and that's very freeing to me because I'm not a particularly good programmer. I don't even really think of myself as a programmer first and foremost. So, yeah, crash. All right, so we got a different crash. Place blocks in. Place blocks in index equals bounds.get index coords. Oh boy, I really messed something up here. We're snoozing the ads. You're trying to keep as much of your game in C++ as possible. Probably add Lua for mods. Ooh, nice. Yeah, that sounds really cool. Yeah, I wish I was more of a C... and by more, I mean any. I wish I knew how to do C++ programming. All right, so... I think the hover after the clip is causing some problems. Let me return bounds. I'm curious to see what this is. Oh, let's move this up here. Oop. Well, we might be leaving the game in a broken state here, but that's okay. Let me see if I can copy just a chunk. Did I get the debug? Okay, so yeah, you're returning like an insanely invalid. So the problem is that the clipboard bounds calculation is not right. Why doesn't this work? What happens when I declare a parameter list? It should give me maximum as min value and minimum as max value. And then so when I do the resize, it should resize correctly. Minimum. Other dot minimum. Oh, resize coordinates. Huh. Oh, it needs to be bounds equals bounds.resize. I forget. I forget that all the time. Silas, Undertale was developed in GameMaker and with the very procedural code with more ifs than you can count. Yeah, I've heard it's like 1,000 if statements. Mostly linear. It's still an extremely popular game in the end. People care about. Yeah, exactly. Who cares? Like, anybody who creates things all by themselves for others to enjoy can do it in any way they want for all you care. Yeah, that's my thought. That's my thought. So when someone asks, should I do this? It's like, if that's how you want to do it, if that's what you're good at, crash. Still a crash. But did we at least get a valid? Oh, we still didn't get a valid thing out of this. Huh. For each coordinates in game.input. Maybe this. Should I say game.input. No. Does this not work? Huh. Okay, so I gotta look more into this clipboards thing. This is probably gonna pick up tomorrow because I do genuinely have to go. I stayed longer than I wanted to, or longer than I said I would. And we still got a raid out because we've got a decent number of people in here today. But we'll pick this back up tomorrow. Something's still going wrong here. We're not resizing the bounds. So it's getting a very rough idea. I want to change this function to be more of its own thing where you get a clipboard object that has like characteristics about it maybe. I don't know. Probably not. I don't know what I want to do. But I think I want to do the clipboard. I think I want to calculate the bounds in here instead of as a separate thing. Thanks for the stream. No, thank you. Rhiannon Journey, one of your problems with game programming, you want to do things the right way, quote unquote, but you feel like there isn't a right way for most things. In your day job, there are right ways for lots of things because of framework and community conventions. Yeah. And you can follow those, you know. But yeah, that's my favorite thing about programming in games is it's purely iterative. You could have all sorts of ideas coming into this about what the right way to do it or the right thing to even do, let alone how to do it. You can have all the ideas when you come in. But iteration will tell you if you're right, and iteration will tell you if you're wrong. So I think in games there is one true answer, and it's after finishing up saying there's no one way. I think the only real way for games is IDD, iteration-driven development. I think if there's a right way to do game dev, that's it. And everything else is an implementation detail. Like, everything you do should be around reducing the amount of iteration time that it takes to find the fun, you know? Digitaning's nice thing about a lot of this is if you have a bottleneck, you can optimize that as a separate library and another language is needed. I need to do that a little bit. I need to, like, separate my ECS from this game project a little bit. Right now, the implementation
logic was impeccable, Captain.
Thank you. It's very tightly coupled. Godot does a lot of the heavy lifting with its physics loop and the rendering. Yeah, that's why we still use... I mean, that's why we're using Godot, even though we're not using all of it, right? All right. Where are we going? All right, Ezra's on, Covino's on, Temptic's on. How's Ezra doing? Oh, Ezra just started. We're going to go hang out with Ezra. You think the right way depends on the limitations of the game engine and its quirks? Oh yeah, definitely. I just think in terms of game design, if we pull ourselves out of like the programming element of it, and we talk about more the development of the game as a whole, as a game, as an experience, less as code, I think iteration driven design is the closest thing we have to a true way, right? Oh yeah, Silas, you're talking about like hot reload. Yeah, hot reload, that's a great thing. A lot of people put hot reload in their engines because that reduces iteration time. If you can just make a change to the code and it's already reflected in the game, that's a huge save. So yeah, I think if you needed to pick a North Star, it's iteration. Iteration speed, the ease of iteration. This music is getting me agitated, so hopefully I'm not coming off as agitated, just enthused, but this has been a great stream. I don't think I did much. I don't think I accomplished much, but I think I have a number of areas that we're going to work on this week that I know are the areas I want to work on. So we'll come back tomorrow. We'll work on it. We still need work, as it were. Oof, Faust. Yeah, you can't always do hot reload, or sometimes it's tough. Yeah, thank you all. It was nice seeing the new faces, the familiar faces. Yeah. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. When we raid, ship them if you got them.